Hi, I'm Mindy Sterling, and you're listening to You Might Know Her from ... with Anne and Damien.
Cheers, baby. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I want to tell you that one of my greatest ideas as a young person, it's telling that I remember one of my best ideas that never came to fruition at 19, was that I had a solo performance class in college. And I was like, here's what I'm going to do. Because people used to be like, not prepare for class. They would come in, they would get like $14 to $16 worth of McDonald's, eat it all in person, then puke it into a bag. And that would be like, end scene. And they're like, it's a commentary about American overconsumption. And you're like, your parents are paying $42,000 a year for this education. Mm-hmm. So there was that. But I was like, I'm going to get a giant bunny suit and I'm going to get somebody else to get like a giant dog suit. And we're going to come in and we're going to play chess. And in the background is just going to be happy holidays for 14 minutes. And I never did it. But I feel like that could still be my solo performance.
Wait, why the dog?
I don't know. It was just like, I think I thought it was edgy as a young person to be like, do you know about furries? Because I learned about them from HBO's Real Sex.
I learned a lot of things about real sex. I can remember learning to put your sex toys in the dishwasher.
Yes.
There was women who like taught blowjob classes. People with I remember learning about sex dolls and like men who lived in middle America who like had relationships with their sex dolls. I was fascinated by it.
Yeah. There was a lot of like nudist colony work on those shows. I mean, HBO, as we've discussed on this podcast multiple times, really changed me as a young person.
HBO is still the place where I'm going to consume television that is like, I feel like I'm in English class. I feel like I'm talking about the green light in The Great Gatsby. Like, what does it represent? Like, I feel like The White Lotus is the first thing in a long time that I'm like watching, and I like.
We had event television.
Event television, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I feel like Breaking Bad and The Sopranos and Mad Men and like other shows of that time, that was what happened. And now everything is like, it's better than there's not like sitcom television. It's different. It's like there's lots of TV and it's like stars, movie stars, and there's anthology series and like directors that are like film directors and visionaries. But a lot of it is just fine. It maybe is like better than like Growing Pains and Full House. It's just
right. The bar is low.
The bar is different though. It's
Yeah.
like, and I feel like, but it's not. We've had such a glut of content that it's like, oh, that's good, or like that's a great actor on a mediocre show, and
right. Or the first 4 episodes were great and then it tanked, which is everything that Ryan Murphy has ever done.
Yes, but The White Lotus has been exciting because it feels like everyone I know is watching it, and we're talking about the dress, and we're talking about the sun, and we're talking, whatever.
I mean, look, let's be honest. This is why we need to bring back the live musical to NBC, because this was also like December event television. But I'm so grateful for White Lotus season 2. I know that we're out of it at this point, but at the time of recording, we're fresh on the heels. And I just have to say that like I was not sold on season 1. I thought it was fine. I thought season 2 was far superior, and it was a slow burn for me. It took me a couple episodes to get in, but then I was all in. And you and I keep talking about Megan Fahey. And I think there were so many great performances across the board. I think the writing was better. I think the acting was better this season. But Megan Fahey was totally a surprise for me. I have to say I didn't know her name. I'm just being honest. I didn't know her by name. I think you did because you watched The Bold Type.
Yes, me and my mom, we binged the first season of The Bold Type when I was visiting her, and then she continued on. But yeah, and I thought she was like telegenic, good enough. We were talking about this before we were recording, that it's so fascinating when a great talent actually like has access to material that lets them play to their strengths, or just lets them show what they're able to do, because so much of film and TV, so much acting maybe period, you are showing up and you're doing the thing, you're a cog in a machine, you're telling the bigger story, which is obviously what everyone's doing. But getting to see, not once, I think not twice, I think like 3 times we got to see like really great close-ups of her, where we got to see like her internal life in her eyes. Like that is a talent. I also think that like it's a total, she's a stage actor, like that's her pedigree, and I don't know that I knew that. I didn't know she was in Next to Normal, but it's like a talent to be able to do that. I feel like we talked about this with Natalie Zea way back when we talked about, what's the Western she was on?
Justified.
And how about like the chemistry that you have to like translate in an on-camera job, and like the way that she and Timothy Oliphant were like had great chemistry, and she was like, well, I can do that. And I feel like I know that there's great theater actors who can't convey what Megan Fahey did, and it's like, good for her. She's really a talent, and I hope this like opens doors for her.
Yeah.
It will.
She was so good. I feel like so much has happened since we last chatted, and I think we just need to address it. First of all, you know what? We're here. Damien, welcome.
Welcome back.
So you might know her from.
With Anne and Damien.
It is so good to be back here with you in December. If you don't know us, welcome to the show. If you do know us, welcome back. This is our podcast where we shoot the shit with each other about what we're consuming, what we love, what we're, how our bodies are doing. I'm in a boot for the first time in my entire life, which if you know this show, you know that I have finally achieved the lesbian stereotype that I've put into the world. That is, if there's a lesbian, there's a carpal tunnel brace, a knee brace, a cane, something on your ankle. I'm now in a full boot.
Yeah, to be clear, a boot for an injury. You're not in a Doc Marten. You're not in a duck boot.
No. I am also in a boot, but I'm also in an injury boot.
Yeah. Do you remember when we interviewed Guinevere Turner, screenwriter, actor, L Word star, screenwriter of American Psycho, and The Notorious Betty Page, and you told her, you said, this trope about lesbians.
Because she was there with a cane because she had an injury and she was there with a cane. Damien, it wasn't apropos of nothing. I was like, damn, Guinevere Turner, do you know about this lesbian trope? No, she had a cane, so I brought it up because it seemed topical, and I thought she was going to yes and me, and she said, what are you, a sporty lesbian? And I was sporty. Like, I think you're misreading this whole scenario. I've got this years-long theory that lesbians love a brace.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you who knew about it, and that was Mindy Sterling. When I talked to her about her role in Desperate Living as Peggy Gravel, she plays like a housewife come lesbian who wears a knee brace that is never explained, which is one of my favorite plot points ever. Damien's drinking the drink that I bought him, and he is cringing. It is one of the grossest things I've ever put in my body. I think we shouldn't finish it.
No, I'm going to finish it.
Okay, great. So Mindy Sterling co-signed my lesbian theory. An actual lesbian by the name of Guinevere Turner did not, but I'm still putting it into the world. The point is I'm in a boot. Let's get back to what we were discussing. I don't remember what it was.
You were welcoming everyone back to the show. You were saying this is our show.
That's a body update. I'm giving you body talk to close out 2022 because we haven't touched on it in a while. But if you know this show, you know that Damien and I are best friends and longtime collaborators. We're both queer people. We love pop culture. We consume it. What is the word I'm looking for? We consume it ferociously. And in between our conversations and musings about pop culture, we interview an actress or non-binary performer each episode. So welcome back to the show. It's so good to have you here. We love you. Damien, talk to me.
It's been a tough time. I feel like we've had a lot of loss lately. I feel like we lost Christine McVie. And that was a big... So I feel very grateful that I saw Fleetwood Mac. I saw them with our mutual friends, Aaron and Nick and Alex. And it was like an impromptu, purchasing it out one night. I think it was Alex's birthday. And we were like, they're in Philly, in 2 weeks. We should do this. And we bought those tickets. And it was very exciting. And I'm so glad to see them because I saw everybody.
I know that's
actually. I don't know that Lindsey Buckingham was there.
That's fine. Honestly,
I was. I'm not there for him. For me, it was most important that the women were both there. But also, obviously. I'm not saying this to be in vogue because she's now dead, sadly.
No, you love Christine McVie.
Christine McVie was always my woman. I preferred her vocal. I mean, it doesn't have to be a competition, but she was mine.
Yeah.
And so it was very sad to lose her. She was, I think, 79. I hope she had a great life. I mean, what an impact she has made on so many people. But very sad. And then also Irene Cara passed, and we had pursued her a couple times over the course of doing the podcast, and that was also sad to me. Fame was very important to me. It was a weird movie that I feel like I graduated to. My mom always showed me Dirty Dancing and Footloose and Flashdance and Fame, and I remember seeing Fame, and it was confusing because there were gay people, and it was about going to New York to become an actor. But I love Irene Cara, and it's there's this that iconic scene where she goes to make a movie. And she takes her top. I don't know. Do you know Fame? She takes off her top and then she's topless, and it's so sad. And I remember thinking when I moved to New York and I went on some weird fucking auditions for quote unquote movies that were short films or student films or plays that have no funding, and you want to be doing this thing so bad, and you feel
right.
I'm in an apartment of a stranger, or I'm convulsing on the floor like a fish out of water to get an audition for something that's going to pay me my subway pass, you know? And I just remember seeing that and she, and her voice is iconic, and the Flashdance theme and also the Fame theme. So sad to lose those two luminaries. And then of course also we lost Kirstie Alley.
Oh my God. And
And it's complicated, for me at least.
It is complicated for me as well, because I think, she unfortunately, the Scientology aside, which I feel like is complicated in and of itself for me, though I am obsessed with Scientology and cults, she became sort of like a huge Trump fan and a truther about things like she was very much a conspiracy theorist and very active on Twitter and pushing a lot of lies and grotesquerie online later in her career. But it's something I've been thinking about a lot, because she has like a really special place in my childhood. Like,
well, she's like she was part of our formative years. Like so many of the titles of the things, her biggest projects were like in our formative years.
Yeah, and it wasn't even Cheers for me, as I know it was for so many people. I had seen a couple episodes of her Cheers.
It's a little old for us.
Yeah, and what I've seen, I love, and I really Look Who's Talking. Those movies were like a sexual awakening for me. I really thought I had never seen more attractive people than Kirstie Alley and John Travolta in my entire life.
Yeah.
Madhouse was extremely important. Her and John Larroquette for me. Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Her and the Tim Allen movie.
For Richer or Poorer.
The trailer alone. I don't even know if I ever saw the full movie.
Let's watch it.
Also, she's also in the Olsen twins movie.
It Takes Two.
Yeah, which
with Steve Guttenberg, who is sexy.
Yeah, I agree. She was also in this movie called Bella Mafia that I was obsessed with, where it's like Vanessa Redgrave, her, Natasha Henske, and like James Marsden, and it's about basically like the mob. It's a TV movie. I remember watching it with my mom, and it's a movie about and Ileana Douglas, and it's like basically Ileana Douglas is like the girlfriend. Kirstie Alley is married to one of the sons. Natasha Henstridge is also married to, I think, one of the sons. And then Vanessa Redgrave is like the matriarch. All of the men in this like mafia family are like the club is like blown up, and the women carry on.
Okay, this is a movie for me.
Yes, we've never talked about it. And
it.
It's for our listeners. I've talked about it all the time. You just didn't remember.
I'm ready to watch that. I'm ready to have a Kirstie Alley-a-thon. And honestly, a fat actress, which we talked to Rachel Harris about, and Rachel had mentioned specifically that Kirstie, we were sort of digging. We were like, we loved Kirstie Alley. We loved Fat Actress. I felt like it was ahead of its time. It was very much like in the vein of sort of like Curb Your Enthusiasm meets the comeback.
Yeah. It was a little bit stupider than either of them, but
yes.
but like also kind of hilarious because it was so fucking weird.
And it was early in that genre, and they had like Mayim Bialik come on. There was a lot of
Mayim Bialik like living in like a little like in like she was like I like living in like a miniature house, and like I like drink like miniature tea, and like Leah Remini was on it.
Yes, because. And so is that the Scientology connection? Because Leah Remini was still in Scientology at the time.
Yes.
And Kelly Preston and John Travolta also. Anyway, basically we were digging with Rachel Harris. Rachel Harris basically was like, Kirstie Alley respected me as like an artist and as an actor and as a comedian, gave me like plenty of time and space to like land my jokes, and was really respectful of me as like my time and who I was as a professional, gave me good advice, was like a real person, and had nothing but good things to say about her. So I don't know, everybody contains multitudes, but it's interesting to me that I am willing, maybe only in death, to say like, R.I.P. Kirstie Alley. I am a fan.
And like a little bit of a side note here as we transition to the interview, which I think is worth mentioning, is that Kirstie Alley, obviously one of the stars of the great, and I mean, maybe this is like what gave her the idea of Fat Actress, honestly, because it's a mockumentary, but obviously Kirstie, one of the stars of Drop Dead Gorgeous,
whose scenes were like closest with this month's guest.
Yeah, this month's guest, Mindy Sterling, was sort of her henchwoman sidekick in Drop Dead Gorgeous. So we didn't ask Mindy any specific questions about Kirstie because this was before she had passed, but now I wish we had.
Same. I just want to bring up too, speaking of sad things, the Celine Dion announcement has like really broken my heart. And I have to say, just like on a trying to keep it light note, is that let this be a call to all of us. And I feel like this has been my mission the last like 5 years, is like, go see people. I'm so jealous that you got to see Fleetwood Mac, because that is like, do I love Fleetwood Mac? Yes. It's not like I know every single song, but like I know a few albums, I know the hits, and I wasn't there, and it's a missed opportunity. And so it's like, you have to pay respect and love. And also it's a pleasure for you to get to go see these people that were important to you, that brought you pleasures at any point in your life. And I feel so lucky that I got to see Celine Dion in Vegas a couple of years ago. It felt transformative, and it set me off on this mission. It's like, I'm going to go see every single woman that I love before XYZ happens to them. And so I'm so glad you saw Fleetwood Mac. I'm so glad I saw Celine Dion. We are sending her love and good wishes and wellness and health. She's tremendous. She's a tremendous talent. I love her so much. And I wish her all the best. I want her to be well. And life is tough. Life is hard. We've been through a lot. I'm trying to keep it light, Damien, but like, look, we've been doing this for 5 seasons. We're in the midst of December. The pandemic is still upon us, but we're trying our best. We're in person, which is a beautiful thing. And you know that we don't do this every month, folks, but we are here together in person, loving it on each other. We had some bubbly. We were having this terrible canned lemon ginger gin drink that I brought. It's horrible.
We're consuming the content. We're wrapping up the year. Yes, the L word is still terrible, but you know what? We're here together and we're here with you, and we're so excited for this week's guest. We just had a total ball with Mindy Sterling. I feel like she was somebody that we were in long pursuit of.
Yes.
I think something that maybe didn't make the final edit was just like how important, speaking of formative years, I think how important the Austin Powers films were. I think we both rewatched them and we're like, we know all of the words.
Yes.
Or all of the like...
all the beats, every single...
Yes.
Oh my God,
Yes.
all the rhythm. I have to say, revisiting Austin Powers, I laughed out loud throughout Austin Powers 1.
It's great.
It really holds up. And guess what? Elizabeth Hurley, also great. But talking to Mindy Sterling, I just feel like she's embedded in my brain. Her line readings. Frau Farbissina is an iconic character. The point is, we are so lucky to have finally landed the brilliant, the hilarious, the so whip smart and kind Mindy Sterling for the show. We hope you enjoy.
You might know her from The Goldbergs,
Desperate Housewives,
Drop Dead Gorgeous,
iCarly,
The Grinch Who Stole Christmas,
ConMan,
and the Austin Powers trilogy.
Huge day for us here at You Might Know Her From, because we are joined by actress Mindy Sterling. Mindy, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We're like over the moon, and it's very timely because, you know, this episode, we're talking to you in November, but the episode is going to air in December. So we have to start with your role as Clarnella Who in the 2000 live action remake of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So I don't know if you know, but we consider ourselves queer pop culture aficionados. So we're always looking for times that a character has played queer or is like in a movie with a queer lens. So we're obviously particularly interested in Clarnella, who is one of the Grinch's adoptive mothers alongside Rose Who. Like, Mindy, are Clarnella and Rose lesbians who raised the Grinch?
Wow. I mean, I never thought in that aspect of it at all. Had no clue that that was a question for some people.
This is how we like to approach the material.
It's a theory on our part.
I just love it. And, you know, I mean, there's certainly a possibility, I assume, because nothing was stated. And if the audience looks into it in a different way and it hasn't been corrected or changed, it possibly could have been.
Were you playing it like sisters? Were you playing it like anything? Like,
I think we were like sisters. I think that was what we were told to do.
Got it.
You know,
okay.
It's like, you're sisters. So, yeah. So, you know, because they'll write that down, or they'll, you know, you need to know what your relationship is when you're doing a film or a TV show. So, yeah, we were sisters as far as I knew. I don't know how she felt.
So nearly everyone in How the Grinch Stole Christmas is sporting these pretty intense prosthetics. Of course, Jim Carrey has his whole thing going on, but then it's like you and Molly Shannon and Bill Irwin are all wearing the, like, who knows. How long did it take to sit through that every morning? Like, who was your buddy in that makeup chair, and were you able to eat crafty while you had that nose on?
Oh, good. These are all good. Okay. So it took like 3 hours.
Jeez.
And it was just this part of it. So that was that. And then the wigs and stuff. So it takes a long time to get it all together and perfect it. And then you're in it through the day. So I think there was one day that we all, you know, had all that put on us and they didn't get to our scene. So we just had to, you know.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, and it is pretty amazing. I mean, to me, the funniest thing is when you eat, and yes, you can eat, but some people had that their noses were not where their nostrils are, and so it would be in some other place. So I think they had to put straws in their noses so they can breathe better.
Showbiz, babe.
I didn't have to do that, thank God. And I was so nervous because I have allergies, and major allergies, and then I also am claustrophobic. So even when they had to do a big thing of us, of our heads and our faces and blah, 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 and they have to put this very hard cement stuff on your face, I had a really hard time with that. I started to cry.
Oh.
I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. They go, it's okay. We'll do it in pieces.
Oh,
So that was easier for me. Yes. And the funny part about it to me was just sitting around it, when it's lunch and everybody's sitting at the table and they've all got, you can't take it off. And you're all talking and eating and just carrying on conversation. And I had a friend come visit me, Tim Bagley, and he just started to laugh at me when I was just talking to him. And I said, "What's so funny?" He goes, "Mindy, you have no idea how weird this is talking to you. It's very unsettling, and you're just a different person."
Can I ask, Christine Baranski seemed to not be in much prosthetic nose. And then I Googled it, and Anne was like, no, it says it was mild prosthetics because she already had, a nose that worked for the character. And I was like, it seemed like she got off easy.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, all right.
No, everybody. I mean, again, I don't know what they were going for or what she wanted. But I never looked at her going,
Okay. I'm glad that you said that. Okay, because I really thought it seemed like her regular nose.
No, I don't know if anybody had their regular
Yeah, just
nose.
the kids, I guess, because they're not supposed to have grown into their Who noses. Yeah, I just watched it last night. I'm hot on it, so.
Oh my God, I love it. Thank you.
Okay, Mindy, you've been in pretty much every primetime network TV show. So for our listeners, here's a laundry list. Reno 911, Curb Your Enthusiasm, The League, Scrubs, Ellen, Perfect Strangers, Sister Sister, Friends, Family Matters, Elvira's Movie Macabre, we love, Two Broke Girls, Blackish, and The Detour. But for the last 5 seasons, you've recurred on the Goldbergs as Linda Schwartz, one of Beverly's best sort of friend/frenemies. The show's been on for 10 seasons and is led by fellow Groundling Wendy McClendon Covey. Do you two get to play a lot because of your improv backgrounds, or does ABC sort of put the kibosh on that because it's very stick to the script network TV?
Yeah, pretty much. When you're doing a show like that, it's like every word has to be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, they've played a little bit and they'll add something but you're doing so many takes, so you can give them something a little different, but you're not there to change. Oh no, the writers are very, very demanding about exactly what we say. They may give us an alt, they may change it.
Okay.
And then I have the hard task because I have a bad memory in general. So I just don't remember things. So a lot of times I have a cue card. Just so that it's I don't want to waste everybody's time. But no, I mean, that's the thing about television. That's why I like to do indie films, which I just did one Monday. And it was, oh my God, I got the freedom to improvise. I don't have to get every word correct, that I can, and for me, that's easier. But yeah, there's a timing to it. They know what they want to say. They know how the rhythm of the show works. So I totally get it. And the rest of the cast is incredible with it. They get it every time.
Is it a sweet gig, rolling in now that you're sort of recurring and it's oh great, we've got Mindy for these 6 episodes this season or whatever? That seems like a sweet gig.
I'll tell you, it's one of the most fun and one of the sweetest gigs for me. Absolutely. Getting older and, just everything changes and you get on a show that you were a part of. And I get to play with Wendy. I get to play with Jen Irwin. I get to play with Stephanie Courtney, who is Flo. It's the best. So I am always very grateful every time I get a call. And every time they want it, have you pinned? Are you available here? And I'm like, I'll make myself available.
Right.
So I'm very lucky.
So speaking of all of these TV gigs, you moved to Wisteria Lane, very warm and dear to our hearts. You moved to Wisteria Lane as Mitzi Kinski for the 6th and 7th season of Desperate Housewives. So Mitzi's curmudgeon, and Drea De Matteo sort of bullies her into recycling in one episode. Then there's another episode where Marsha Cross is bullying her into testing to see if she could be a kidney donor for Teri Hatcher's character. What was it like joining that show? I was obsessed with the show, but then also obsessed with sort of the behind the scenes of that show. What was the vibe on that set? Was it toxic? Was it fun?
Well, I too was incredibly obsessed with it. We loved it. We loved it. My friends, that was a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a hit. And I knew Mark Cherry, who created it. I swear to God, this really happened. I did this thing, my friend and I were talking about manifesting and having the job that you want and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, oh my God, I know Mark and I want to be on that show. So one day I text myself and I said, congratulations. They got you, you're doing the show and blah, blah, blah. And oh my God, so happy for you, Mindy. So happy. And then for some reason, it came to fruition. They asked me to do a small part on it. I loved being the nasty, sort of curmudgeon woman who everybody hated, and she was annoyed. And I mean, it was kind of fun for me, which I do very well, to be annoyed. And it was awesome. It was awesome. Very interesting. Behind the scenes, the men were incredibly lovely. The men were very friendly. The men were very open. They were so nice. These women have been working together. They've got stuff with each other. It was a little different. It was a little intense, not intense, but a little not stressful. Just you could just tell something's going on. They don't like this person or that. So it was interesting.
I believe Leslie Ann Warren played Teri Hatcher's mother, and we asked her on a scale of 1 to 10 how toxic, and I think she said it. I think she said it was a 12. So.
Okay, well, and she did more of that, but it was. I never felt really that comfortable with the women, and in the dressing room, Teri Hatcher was not a part of that.
Got it.
She was somewhere else having everything done. So I was there with the other women.
Okay.
They just weren't like I said. The men were very much more friendlier. And the women just were like, "You're there to do your job." But what's her name?
Drea De Matteo.
Yes. She was really sweet to me.
Italian American.
I really liked her. She was very cool. But I have to say that Hatcher, I had to do something. Oh, they wanted me to fall into the bushes. And nobody was going to see if I'm okay, if I'm physically capable. They didn't set anything up for me to fall into.
Okay.
And I remember, as odd as she is, I remember that she was the one that said, "You know what? We need to get a mattress or something here for her to fall on. She can't just fall in bushes."
Okay, Teri.
So I have to thank her for that. And then I ended up trying to befriend her, not for any other reason other than I just like people, and I wanted to support her. And she had a really good eye. She wanted to sort of redo some stuff and direct some stuff. So that could be looked at as she's trouble.
Oh, interesting.
But I thought, you know what? She's been doing this for a long time. She's probably would love to do. And I asked her, I said, you should direct one of these and blah, blah, blah. You just never know where people are being on a hit show. They're not all alike. There's lots of personalities.
Yeah.
Who's making more money than the other.
Yeah.
The storylines, you know what I mean? So, though I am a firm believer of being nice to everybody, no matter what your shit is, we have shit too.
Right.
And all it takes is, how was your day? How, great job, or blah, 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 blah. So, but it was a little toxic. I don't know if it was a 12, but again, I didn't have that involvement that Leslie and Warren had.
Yeah. Okay, Mindy. So you were a fundamental part of the Dr. Evil crew in all 3 Austin Powers films. You played Frau Farbissina, a sort of screaming German lesbian right-hand henchwoman who was the founder of the quote-unquote militant wing of the Salvation Army. So the story goes that fellow Groundling Julia Sweeney recommended you to improvise opposite Mike Myers so he could sort of workshop characters at the Groundlings.
Wow.
Is that story true? First, I guess.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Did the script build off the character that you had improvised, or did they hand you a script, like a breakdown for Frau, that then you built from?
Okay, so first of all, yes. So Mike came and did some improv with us. That's how I met him. And from Julia brought him in. And, I was just in awe of him. And the lovely thing that I had been hearing is he was in awe of me. So we were just like, oh my God. Then he was putting together a show. He was trying out Austin Powers. I don't remember if he tried any other characters, but I do remember he asked myself and Steve Hibbert, who was also writing a little bit on the film, and Patrick Bristow, who was a Groundling. And he asked us if we would be a part of this. I wish I had a good memory to remember what we did. I don't think I did Frau then because I had to come in and audition.
Okay.
But whatever I did, I was there to help him and support him and blah, blah, blah. But I really don't remember what I did. So, but I definitely have to thank Julie Sweeney for bringing him in. They probably had a talk. I met Jay Roach, and then I had to audition for the part. So thank God I did okay.
You said that there were a bunch of unscripted bits that made it into the Austin Powers movies. Is there any particular bit that you love that you're so proud of that like made the cut?
Oh, that I did?
Yeah.
I know that I did. Yeah. We did that together. You know, and the scream and everything, it's written in there. I just happen to have a very shrill scream.
Iconic.
And yes, and that became, you know, I mean, it just happened. So I didn't know it was going to be a big thing, certainly. So yeah, so that kind of, you know, worked its way in and became something. But the biggest stuff was between Mike and Seth Green. You know, when it was like, they went on and on and on. It was awesome. It was fabulous. And I didn't want to, you know, I wasn't there to change the script or do anything. I mean, if something just happened, you know, and he says something to me and I go, yeah, we would do that. I do remember, though, in the scene where we are with the Hot Pockets, and I come in, I go, I'm late. And he's like, oh, that's all right, but no, I'm late. I could not keep a straight face. And the great thing for me was he laughed at me first. And so and then I would start to laugh. So it was really hard. So I had to just like not look at him when I talked to him. I had to like look at his ear or something because it would just make us laugh. But no, he's a master at what he does. And I am so hoping we get into a fourth, but I don't know.
Aside from Mike Myers, maybe, who were you most impressed with in the ensemble? Like somebody who you felt like really could keep up with y'all, or somebody who, I don't know, showed you like talent that you didn't know. I don't know. Somebody around that tape.
Or just like to be around and listen to stories.
Or that. I mean,
Robert Wagner.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Wagner.
I know.
Like, you know, I mean, he's stories. And then Michael Caine.
Oh, right.
Michael Caine. Michael Caine, like he had to hit my butt. Now nowadays that wouldn't go so well, right? But I was like, oh my God, hit it all you want. I mean, I was slapped a little, you know, patted on the butt by Michael Caine, another amazing storyteller. I do not remember any stories, but those people and Beyonce, but Beyonce was just beginning.
Yeah, she was only like 20 or 21, right?
Yeah. So, no, those two guys were pretty amazing to me.
You mentioned, like, the promise of a potential Austin Powers 4. Like, you guys all reunited for the Super Bowl commercial this year, and it was... Actually, I was like, this is so good. It was very well scripted. Is there
Wasn't that great?
It was really funny.
It was really funny. I was like, there is a whole world here, Damien. And they're like, there's a whole world that could be developed with Scott and a kid. And anyway, I think it really has potential. Apparently, Mike Myers signed a contract back in 2011. Like, what are the rumblings? I'm sure you can't say anything, but is there any new hint with the
Did the Super Bowl thing
commercial?
lead to any conversation that you heard?
Well, Mike came into my trailer. And when I, first got there and we said hello and blah, blah, blah. And I said, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. He goes, oh my God, of course, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, yeah, he goes, I want to do another one. And I went, oh, okay, great.
Right.
And he goes, yeah, it would be from Dr. Evil's point of view. Great. That I'm on board.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And we both agreed, this is a good time to have it. Just what's going on in the world and la la la. And I literally am just waiting.
Okay.
Right. He's very much
I know.
He's like in the Elon Musk universe. It's like not that far off.
Well, but he's a nicer, better man.
Yeah. So you played Kirstie Alley's henchwoman in the cult classic mockumentary Drop Dead Gorgeous, something that we love and are obsessed with. So this is a comedic ensemble sort of on the opposite end of Austin Powers that is made entirely of women. That's Kirsten Dunst, Amy Adams, Brittany Murphy, Denise Richards, Ellen Barkin, Allison Janney, et cetera, et cetera. Did that feel any different than some of these sort of male-dominated comedy sets that you've been on in the past?
Well, yeah, it was wonderful. It was these amazing women and little old me. So I really didn't have, I didn't do that, hadn't done that much. And it just was so awesome and wonderful. It's one of my favorite things I've done and been in. And to look at all those women now and go, oh my God, I got to work with them. I think the only person that I didn't meet was Ellen Barkin. But everybody else was just fabulous.
It's so good. It holds up really well. And I feel like it is what we like to call like a green flag film. So when somebody in our lives says like, oh, I love Drop Dead Gorgeous, it's like, great, you're one of us,
Yes, I totally agree. Yes.
Okay, Mindy, you have worked, this was surprising to me, you have worked with kids a lot. Notably, iCarly, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, That's So Raven, Even Stevens, Ant Farm, Fuller House, and Raven's Home. You also appear as the grandmother in The Dog Who Saved Christmas and its 5 sequels. So the question is, what was more demanding, acting opposite children actors or acting opposite that fucking dog?
Oh my God. The dog is nothing. The dog is easy. The dogs are nothing. But I'm always like, making sure that the dog's okay or that animals are okay and blah, blah, blah. And I love kids. I love working with them, and I love good kids. Kids who are real kids, but they're not like all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm, lucky that I've worked with really sweet kids and kids that were really talented. And, and then sometimes you work with them and you're wondering, I don't know if it's the kid or the parent that really wants this to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ant Farm was great because I was recurring on that and got to see the kids grow up. And iCarly it just became this cult thing. And I didn't, wasn't a regular. So in the 3 years that I guess that it was on, my stuff really stood out because I still get recognized everywhere I go from iCarly.
But you did not come back for the Paramount Plus revival.
Of iCarly? No.
Was there any conversation about that? Was there any conversation about that? Okay.
They were, they had asked me. They wanted me to come
okay.
And
I'm good.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I did it. I've already done it. They wanted me to do a guest star, and as of right now, I'm not doing it. And I just think, let's move on. You've got, I just didn't feel right,
Totally get it. And I feel like totally understand why you'd be like, I'm good. One of the things we were excited to discover is the fact that you were Emmy nominated for your role in Alan Tudyk's web series ConMan, which is brilliant. You star as Bobby, the hapless agent of Tudyk's sort of washed up sci-fi actor who makes a living attending these sort of like sci-fi fan conventions. I know that probably Frau maybe puts you in a position where maybe you have like been able to mine some of these experiences for the script. Did you like pass any of that on to Alan? Was there any part of that experience for him that resonated with you?
No, he was amazing to work with. I had never met him before. And here he was offering me this part. And I was just, wow. No, he'd been working on this for years and he knew exactly what he wanted. He knew exactly how it needed to be. I was just, in awe of him and just respected him so much. And I loved this character that he created for me. I just thought, I think he wanted me to be older in it. And I was like, really? Why? Why do I need to be older? And like 80? No. And then we came up with, or I came up with this idea of what if she wears different wigs all the time? Like there's some women that just don't have good hair.
Of course.
And so I was like, could I do that instead? And different glasses and she always had a different look. And I had so much fun doing that. I think we were all really disappointed when it didn't move forward for the second season. I just thought it was such an interesting, nerdy show that would have been, I think would have made it better if the right people were handling it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fully formed, the Sean Astin aspect of it all. Like there were so many great cameos, and I feel like that world is so rich of like,
it
and now
is
even more so because
The Comic-Cons, I love doing Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
There was a place for that. It was just different and odd. And, a lot of times it's the producing or it's the studio. Just for some reason, just didn't come together. And God, I worked with Leslie Jordan. It was the first time I had met him.
You guys were so great together.
Oh, the whole thing was just, I loved it. It was one of my favorite things.
Well, and then it had a life on Sci-Fi too, right? Like it was acquired and sort of packaged as a show on Sci-Fi, and then it didn't move on after that, which is a bummer. You mentioned the wigs, which we are obviously, like, I feel like we are all like-minded people, and we loved wigs. We love wigs. I have a whole box of wigs in my...
Oh, if you ever want to get rid of them.
No, I'm good. They're mine.
Never.
But have you gotten into this world of teeth? We talked to some actor who, I don't know who, but they planted this seed in our brain and we can't stop thinking about it, which is that like fake teeth now are the new wigs, which like all these actors you see, like Michelle Williams doing Gwen Verdon on Fosse on like FX, and she has like fake teeth in, and they were like, yeah, teeth are the new wave. And have you used fake teeth yet?
No, I do. I did just get Invisalign.
I'll talk to you about it after. I'm in the market for it.
Yes, I did get that, but no. Did I? I think I want to say I did wear teeth in something. I do remember that. I really don't remember what it was, but I really don't. But no, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah,
because it changes you. There's certain teeth and certain people you just look at and you go, your teeth look like a piano. And it's because they're fake. And,
I know, it's really rough to see those chiclets.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it would be better if they were just crooked. It would be better if they were crooked teeth.
But see, the world and the business and, life makes us all like, you're not right. You don't look right. You need to do this. You should change this. You should change that. Come on. I love when somebody new arises and they are who they are and they're not going to change and they're still just as interesting and wonderful of anybody else. And I like when people own that. But I that would be kind of fun to do characters with teeth.
I'm ready for this new wave for you. I feel like ConMan really played to so many of your strengths, and it was great to see you, like you said, with Leslie Jordan. Do you have any like good memories of working with him or any stories? I feel like you guys had such a great repartee.
I adored him. I literally would just he did a lot of talking, and and like it, I mean, if you ever followed him on Instagram, he would always be like, he'd always have a story, and he always just had tons of stories. And when I worked with, or when I did this and I did, he was so mesmerizing and so sweet. And I just adored him and wanted to work with him more. Like everybody, I'm just very sad that what happened.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mindy Sterling. We have now entered the
portion. Are we going to play a game?
Sort of, yeah. It's called Rapid Fire. And really, this is just for us to get everything that we haven't said yet out. So, it's rapid for me and Anne because we're going to be firing off. But if you need to take your time, it's okay. We might ask you something and you might be like, that's not rapid. Okay, it's okay for you. Okay, up first. Your dad was comedian Dick Sterling and your mom, Bookie, was a dancer. Do you feel like showbiz is in your bones? And, do you have any, great stories from your childhood?
Well, I was very shy, and my father made me laugh, and my mother was a dancer, and she did other stuff. But when I went to school, and you had to stand up and you had to talk to people about the book you read or whatever, I was really shy about that. And then somehow I just realized, oh, I see, you could be a character. You can be a character, you don't have to be yourself. So I got into the theater. And that, I just fell in love with it. And I thought, oh my God, because I don't know who Mindy is. And being a character was so much easier.
Yeah. Okay. Mindy, you have a small role in the underrated, I'll say it, 2000s comedy Spring Breakdown with Parker Posey, Amy Poehler, and Rachel Dratch, where you're sort of like a drunk keyboardist at the end, propped up by Missy Pyle. Was that shoot fun? And does anyone talk about the fact that Bridesmaids stole the ending of the movie Spring Breakdown and used it however many years later? Like, they used the song and the sing-along.
Oh my God. I don't remember that, but you do your work. So yes. It was just a weird, I loved it. And they just threw me this thing. And Missy Pyle was so sweet and so cool. they found things that I could do to just be just drunk. And I loved playing drunk. Yeah, I mean, that's a blast from the past, I'll tell you. And really fun girls. I love Parker Posey.
Me too.
Oh,
too.
I just think she's awesome.
Mindy, did you watch The Staircase on HBO?
Yes, I was just going to say.
Oh my God.
She
literally incredible.
She transformed. And
Yes.
I remember saying to somebody, who is she doing? And they said, oh, you have to see the real woman. She's doing this woman. And I thought she was phenomenal. Totally a big fan.
I thought so too. It's like she was doing really broad character work, but then grounding it in this universe. And then if you see the documentary, you're like, she's not doing anything outrageous. She is playing this like Southern woman. And I was just like, I was so taken with it. I'm so glad. It seemed like a character that you would be into. I'm so glad.
Oh, I loved it. I totally was. Yes, I really loved it. And I really like her as an actress.
Same.
You worked with both Jim Carrey and Mike Myers, and they both are, of course, comedic legends, but also are both sort of notoriously method. Who was more method, Mike Myers or Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey.
Oh, okay.
But this is what I think. This is what people have told me, because he just got off of the movie, the Andy Kaufman movie.
Oh, okay.
Man on the Moon?
Yeah. And it was intense. And then he had to come and he had to put all this stuff on him. Mike was very playful and very fun. And when I found that out that I was going to do The Grinch with Jim Carrey, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be so much fun. Oh, this is going to be crazy. And it wasn't with him. He had a job to do. He had a whole suit on. He had to put things in his eyes. And he wasn't not nice. He just wasn't playful. And I think he just had to, it was a huge transformation that he had to go to, and he had to get this done. So, again, we don't know where people's heads are or what's going on, but Mike is he's a goofball. He's great.
Okay, Mindy, you are credited as the mom and the Two-Faced Sewing Machine and the Brave Little Toaster, one of our favorite animated movies. Was that a Groundling gig, and did you work with Phil Hartman in the booth?
Wow. I think that there were Groundling people that were in it. I don't think a Groundling produced it or directed it or anything, but yes, we were. And no, I was not in the booth. I did meet Phil Hartman, and I did do an improv show with him once. And then I remember afterwards hanging out with him with all the actors, and I thought, oh my God, he's the sweetest, most lovely person that you'll ever know, that you would not think that. He's so talented. Again, another horrible situation that he was taken just, for no really good reason. But yeah, he was pretty awesome.
So on that same vein, Mindy, you have many voiceover credits, but one role that we were interested in is Despicable Me 2, where you're listed as various uncredited on IMDb. What the fuck does this mean in terms of what you're doing and how much they pay you?
I wish I knew what I did. Well, when they have these things there where they bring in a bunch of voiceover actors, it's called looping. Mm-hmm. And what they do is there's all these little characters on screen that, have just a couple of little lines or things, or they just want you to come up with stuff. So let's say two people are, walking, two women are walking down the street, and they see a beautiful dress in the window, and it may be something like, oh my God, wouldn't that be great for that party? Yeah, I love that dress. So they have us all, just or a couple of women at a time, just come up with doing different things like that. So those are great jobs because of, you get a session fee, but it's residuals. So those have been very, very nice. But I'm still sort of learning about it, and I think, well, I just have to be funny. And no, and it would be like, oh no, we just have to be, you're not supposed to stand out, Mindy. And so I haven't been called in a while, but it was a learning experience, and I love doing it. And I love just watching the people that do this for a living, because this world is really tough to get in and maintain, because there's already been a world, and it was not with Mindy Sterling. So you have people that want to get into the business. They want to do voiceovers. I love doing voiceovers. I audition all the time. I don't always get stuff. People will sometimes just ask for me, which is always lovely. Those are great gigs because, again, you don't have to, worry about what you look like. A lot of people are doing them from home now. That still remains something I want to do more of.
Do they ever make you do like peas and carrots? It's just like you just have to do.
No,
like,
but I know what you
scenes.
mean. Yes, it's that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's they just want it to be, match and and I don't have to be the star.
Yeah. Okay, Mindy. So you worked with Seth Green multiple times in Austin Powers, Idle Hands, Robot Chicken, Family Guy, and Con Man. Is Seth Green family?
Yes, I love him. When I say that, I mean that. I've asked him to do some favors for some charity things for me, and he's there if he can do it. He's the one of everybody that I have worked with that we have kept a good friendship.
He seems like a good egg.
He is, and he's so smart. And you talk about geek. You talk about nerd. This guy has got, him and his lovely wife, Claire, they're so perfectly matched together. And I just remember he was talking about something we were coming back from doing the commercial. And I have no idea what he was saying. I would just go, oh, really? And because it was not my world. But he is one of the loveliest, smartest, kindest people.
Okay, Mindy, you are a lunch lady, Clara Mead, on 2 episodes of Saved by the Bell, The College Years. Anne and I were obsessed with this show. You are doing stage business. You're like grilling sausages in the background with your scene partners, former NFL player Bob Golick and the late Dustin Diamond. How often do you go into a gig like that and you just make up the stage business in the scene? It seemed like you were having a ball, and I was really
Well, they usually give you, they'll tell you what to do. So we wanted you to do this. So then it's just your character and how they do it. I don't remember what I did. I love that you.
My eyes could not.
Are like on my ass, like me.
I only had eyes for you in the scene. I was just watching, and I was like, she's really elevating this shit.
Yes, that was another strange show when I did the first one. You're talking about the very first Saved by the Bell.
Well, you were with the original cast, but it was the college years. You're a lunch lady.
Yes,
I don't think you ever did the original based on our
Okay, I was lunch lady, you're right. But no, it was really weird because I remember going in and it was lunchtime. And I remember sitting, getting my food and sitting somewhere. And some of the actors were sitting around me. And I remember that somebody came up to me and said, you can't sit here because this is where the regulars sit, and then they have the producer who talks to them and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And felt like I had to take my tray and, it's just, I thought, ooh.
That's ridiculous.
But that's how it worked for them. They were kids, yes. But yeah, that was, I'm not going to say I was proud of that show, but hey, at that time, you just get the gigs. You want to make money and you want to work. So yeah.
Okay, Mindy Sterling, last question. Thank you for bearing with us.
Sure.
Mindy, we know you can sing because you starred as Dainty June in a production of Gypsy. You also sing not super well in an episode of Ellen, but that was the point, and also in ConMan's Show Within a Show production of Mice and Men the Musical, where you play Curly's wife, an excellent episode. You're also credited as singing the season 1 theme song of Family Ties. That's not real? That's a lie? Okay, it's a different...
There is a Mindy Sterling that I ended up finding out about because people have said that to me, and she is a singer, and so she wrote. Yes, so she did it, and in fact, she got a check of mine once.
Okay,
but she contacted me. We worked it out and stuff. But yeah, isn't that interesting? But no, I've had people say because it's written like that, and I'm like, no, that's we're two different people. Yeah, isn't that weird?
Okay, so Family Ties notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Mindy Sterling, you're a woman who's famous for screaming. How do you protect your singing voice?
Oh, God, it's shot. If I was to sing, there's a register that I can't hit. And that's not even from yelling. That really is just from allergies. And I don't work on my voice. You know what I mean? It's like if I was going to have to train, I would have to really train and work through it. literally because of allergies and the fact that if you don't, work on something and exercise it'll just get weak. But I do love to sing.
We need more of that, please.
Mindy Sterling, this has been a total hoot. Thanks for going on this ride with us.
I'm just amazed at the material that you dug up, what you love about it, what you remember, what I don't remember. I'm very, very flattered that you saw something in me that you wanted to play with.
Well, we're just so grateful for that grounded lesbian kitchen sink drama work you were doing in The Grinch.
Well, thank you, everyone.
What I love about the show so much is that Damien and I spend a lot of time preparing the questions. And I think if you're a listener, you know this. We try to do our research. We spend a lot of time in a Google Doc that we prepare back and forth.
I'm nervous where
and
this
we
is
spend
going.
time about the structure. What do we open with? What is topical? And so we decided for Mindy what was topical was The Grinch, right? Because it's like this episode is releasing in December. We had been in pursuit of her all summer and before that, but it was like clear that this was going to be our December episode. And then it was like... Were you a lesbian in The Grinch? And Mindy's response was, I didn't know that was a question. And I just feel so alive because I feel like Damien and I both register both the embarrassment, but also the pride in that moment where we're both like, yeah, oh, we're taking you by surprise. But she was like, no, my script breakdown probably said like, we're sisters. And she's like, and that's what we played. And we're like, but are you a lesbian? And she's like, I didn't know that was something that was going to be posed to me.
Let me tell you, for me, it's all pride. And I think like there was a moment when it happened and I listened back and I laughed because she was like, wow, I didn't know that was a question. And I thought, well, it's not explicit that you are sisters. Like there's, it's like, it's the heteronormative
exactly
lens.
Like these two women that are living
And
together absolutely do not have sexual relations.
Correct. And I just thought of like all of my college film professors that would have been so proud of me for being like, this is theory, babe.
Yeah.
Like this is me looking at it from a lens from a queer person and being like, these are two women that raised also a very mean little man. Played by
right.
the young version of the Grinch is played by an actor you love, and I was shocked to know this because I thought it was a puppet.
I can't say his name, but he's Timmy from Passions. Timmy the doll from Passions is one of the most important people in pop culture of my life, period. Do you know what I mean? And he is a gift. And the fact that he showed up in The Grinch as Baby Grinch... Damien said, do you know? Who was my first guest? Because I saw the movie on opening night with Sarah Parks.
You said Jonathan Lipnicki.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
Yeah,
Jonathan Lipnicki is in the same wheelhouse. Wheelhouse. But I said Lipnicki, and then you said no, and I said, I don't even have to Google it. I know it's Timmy from Passions.
I thought it was a puppet, and then I was like, this is an actor? And then I was like, oh my God, it was like a working child actor. And then I was like, shit, he was in Passions with Natalie Zea. He was Timmy. And then I was like, you watched Passions, so I had to tell you. Anyway, I was obsessed with talking about The Grinch. I had never watched it in full, as we discussed. And I was like, wow, this is like better than it needs to be and is wild. And then, of course, I was obsessed with Christine Baranski's nose. I was so happy to face that with somebody. I mean, she did confirm that Christine was in prosthetics. I'm still skeptical. I've been ranting about it. Some folks are telling me that I just need to accept that it is clearly a prosthetic and just subtle.
I don't think it's clearly a subtle prosthetic. It's like, if it is, it's small.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. But yes, it was just great to be able to like unpack that because it was really something that I was sitting on.
Yeah. And Mindy really I love how much she loves wigs. And I feel like when I watched ConMan, the web series with her, the Alan Tudyk web series, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this wasn't on my radar before. It was so great. She got to do so much. She was sort of like, if I had to equate it for somebody that hasn't seen the show, I would say she's like Jean Parmesan, She's like Jean Parmesan in Arrested Development, where she like shows up like the Martin Mull character, where she shows up like in a different costume, everything. It's like, she gets to do so much. And I just feel so lucky that we got to talk to her because she feels, as I said earlier, just like embedded in my consciousness.
Totally.
And whether or not she feels comfortable receiving that, I feel like I wanted to tell her that. Also, the Desperate Housewives stuff.
Oh my fucking God. The Desperate Housewives stuff was really good.
She was like, you know who was nice? Drea de Matteo. And we're like, yeah.
Yeah, obviously Italian. But I was actually really grateful for...
Yes.
Then these are my words, but like when we talked to Leslie Ann Warren about it, she worked very closely with Teri Hatcher. And I think Teri, I'm not going to say she got a bad rap, but I think that she has been the one painted in the most specific light in the press. And I actually was really grateful to hear Mindy's version of events, which was like maybe Teri was like separate, but also like Teri was advocating for her to have like a mat to fall on. Teri was like had a bigger vision. Mindy was encouraging her to direct. I was into all of that. So I was so grateful for all of that like intel. I felt like it was juicy, but not in a gossipy way. It was just like genuine stories. I like when people come to play and they're ready to share stories from set. They're ready to talk about their process, but also like they have a sense of humor and an awareness. Mindy nailed the assignment.
And can I just tell you that, Damien, that after 131 interviews, I think it is, in this show, we have gotten a really varied picture of the Desperate Housewives set. And if nothing else, you come to this podcast for that. It's like, we will ask about Desperate Housewives if you had half an episode.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Wisteria Lane holds many secrets, and it is very important for us to unravel all of them.
Joyce Van Patten said that like they had to rewrite her scene or something because I think that she implied that someone, or maybe said that someone was unhappy with that she was getting more jokes, than they were.
I love Joyce Van Patten. God, the show has opened up so much for us. Oh, I just wanted to say on a personal note that I was glad to hear that Seth Green is a good person, because I was in love with him as a young person. And it was the Austin Powers movies that really set it off for me. But I wrote him a fan letter, which is really revealing to my character and is not surprising if you know me. But I was a young closeted lesbian, and I wrote him a letter, and it was very specific, and it was all about what I had done that month. I had seen Vanilla Ice in concert in Columbia, Missouri. I talked to him about what I was reading. I just like sent him all of this weird personal shit, because I had no filter and I had no idea that like this is weird. He sent me back like a 5x7 postcard of his face and like wrote in a Papermate marker on the back, like a handwritten note. Dear Anne, thanks so much for sending me the note about so glad you got to see Vanilla Ice. What a weird experience that you had, blah, blah, blah. Like very specific, read the whole thing, signed it and sent it back. So to me, Seth Green is like always a
class
gem.
act.
Truly. And to have it verified by Mindy Sterling, I feel like, yeah.
I love that so much. I knew that you wrote to him, maybe, but I don't know that you've ever shared that with me. I love that. Can you just tell me before we close out here, anyone else you wrote to who wrote back or didn't write to that you want to share? I feel like I know one and I want you to tell us on the record. Maybe you read it here.
I think I read it here. I did. So here's the thing. I wrote a few letters, one to Mariah Carey that I never sent. I sent letters to Gillian Anderson and Julie Andrews. I got headshots that were definitely signed by their assistant back. And then I wrote a letter that I found that was sealed that I never sent, not to Mariah Carey, but to Jenna Elfman.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
And if you go to the back catalogs of this podcast, I do read it on one of them, I think.
I think that's right also.
I'll link out to it. I have to find what it was. But if you know me, you know I'm no real fan of Jenna Elfman, but you'll find a reason for why I wrote her a letter when I was a teenager.
You never wrote to Angelina Jolie? You were too cool for school.
No, I was too busy like masturbating to photos of her to like be like, let me write her a letter.
Yeah.
But I may have. I remember being like, where's Wilshire Boulevard? Because that's where all of them live. They all live on Wilshire Boulevard. Like, oh, the charm of that.
They all live at care of UTA.
Oh, what a little menace I was. Such a menace. Mindy Sterling was great. Also, speaking of wigs, this is what I wanted to say, that she loved Parker Posey, like made total sense to me.
Totally.
And was like a closing of a certain loop where I was like, yeah, we have the same interests.
Folks, thanks so much for being with us here this month. We feel complicated about checking in once a month, and we hope we'll come back soon and more frequently so we can have more of these kikis because, we love you and we love doing this.
And we have some exciting things on the horizon for the new year.
We absolutely do. We're hopefully excited to see some of you in person and get to meet you in this new year, and hopefully for new opportunities and more interviews and all of that good stuff. And if you like what we're doing, which I hope that you do if you've made it this far in this insane episode, please leave us a little written review wherever you're listening to this, whatever podcast app you're using, whether it's Apple or Spotify or iHeartRadio or other. Give us a little 5-star review and a few words if that is an option. It means a great deal, especially now that we're monthly. It helps us boost in the algorithm and all of that good stuff. So please leave us a review. It means the world to us.
And if you didn't like it, do not leave a review. That's fine. You can skip it. Also, if you want to follow the polls that Damien is posting online about Christine Baranski's nose and the Grinch, you must follow us on social media. You can find my beautiful friend here next to me at Damien Bellino on all mediums. That's DAMIANBELLINO. And I'm Rhoda Mann. That's my last name mixed with my first. RODEMANNE. Please find us. Maybe on LinkedIn. Don't do that. Please actually don't.
You Might Know Her From is produced by us. That, of course, is my beautiful friend Ann Rodeman and me, Damian Bellino. But we also want to thank our consultants at Grumpy Entertainment, Jason Jude Hill and Daniel Sears, and all that silky nutmeg ganache editing you hear within your ear holes is by the incomparable, talented, and very generous Daniel Sears.
Special thanks to Gang, who creates all the music you hear on each and every episode of You Might Know Her From. You can find Gang's music wherever you download, stream, listen to your tunes. Go check them out. Oh yeah, and if you need to find that Super Bowl commercial starring Mindy Sterling, Seth Green, Mike Myers, and Rob Lowe, our question mark was, is Robert Wagner okay? Can he not participate? And is that, that's a question that Damien and I texted back and forth about. Also, when we interviewed Mindy Sterling, I was in my bedroom that had a poster of Natalie Wood, and we were talking about Robert Wagner, and there was a picture of Natalie Wood behind me, and I thought about mentioning it, but I chose not to. I just thought it was good to get those secrets out in 2022. You know, I'm cleansing myself before we enter the new year.
The show notes.
Oh, that's where you can. You want to find that Super Bowl commercial? It's in the show notes. Baby, I put those notes together so that I can re-reference everything we've ever talked about like a sociopath right here on You Might Know Her From. Go check out the show notes.
I did think in the real time, Anne's not going to ask a follow-up because she said, "Oh, we're on set with Robert Wagner and he's telling stories." And we locked eyes and I was like waiting. I was staring at the fucking Natalie Wood picture behind you and I was like waiting for you to say,
I know.
Like, did he talk about Natalie Wood at all or something? And you didn't. And I thought, oh, you were sick though. Actually, just remembering this.
I had like a neurovirus or something. Yeah, I was violently ill.
You were just like coming out of it. You were like one day out.
But also sometimes, Damien, you have to read the room, and whether or not you want to bring out the death of Natalie Wood in the middle of a lighthearted conversation about Austin Powers. It's hard to know those moments.
I was listening to another podcast recently where they were talking about, like, you know, the first question you ask, you want to, like, get them on your side. And it made me laugh because I was like, were you a lesbian in the Grinch?
In our head, that's us getting the guest on our side.
Well, you know, it's like when they act weird about it. Then
we're like, great, keep plowing ahead. Yeah, what are you, homophobic?
But Mindy received it.
She did. She's the best.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.